You know, I think every gamer goes through that thing where every few games they find that one special game. But you know what I mean, right? Like for every gamer, there is that really special game that connects and speaks to that player on levels sometimes even unknown to them. Like 2017's Breath of the Wild, 2018's God of War, 2020's Last of Us 2. Of course, all this is as subjective as it gets. But if I had to add a new game to that list of absolute game changers, then by my salt, I would say Alan Wake 2. A game that mixes the unique, mysterious, and absolute bonkers formula of past Remedy games with a polished survival horror setting that blends both together in, honest to God, unexpectedly wonderful ways. The result is a game that, while not perfect, cause no game is perfect, creates something that this humble gamer can confidently say he has never experienced before. So Alan Wake 2, a direct sequel to the 2010 cult classic starring Alan Wake, the lost writer, trapped in the dark place and desperately looking for a way to escape his prison. But alongside Alan, we now have newcomer Saga Anderson, an FBI detective with a partner that looks awfully familiar. But in any case, she travels to Bright Falls to investigate a series of ritualistic murders. But as the plot thickens, she finds herself more involved in the horror story than she initially thought. And now Saga Anderson has to find a way to stop the horrors before her loved ones pay the price. And to reveal any more of this story, considered a spoiler, and frankly, even if I did, it would be pretty hard to explain. So before I start singing the collective praise of Alan Wake 2, cause trust me, there's a lot of it, I do need to address the issues with Alan Wake 2, cause as we all know, as much as you love a game and no matter how immaculate it may be, it's never perfect. Nothing is perfect, and there's always room for improvement. So the presentation of Alan Wake 2 is wonderful, but the visual fidelity left a lot to be desired. Now, I heard that switching to 30 FPS mode would have helped the situation, but since I love my games running at a buttery smooth 60 FPS, I stuck it out with that setting, and yes, I noticed a lot of bugs. These bugs ranged from minor annoyance to noticeable eyesores, particularly one part where my character was just able to walk through this massive barrier. Yeah, that was kind of wild. It's also worth noting, and this is kind of a nitpick because I don't hear too many people talking about this, I think the acting in Alan Wake 2 isn't always as tight as it should be. There are also a few times when a character was supposed to give a line that I think was supposed to be way more powerful than it was, and instead kind of came off as a little soulless and kind of funny. Okay, that's enough complaints. Let's start gushing about Alan Wake 2 now, because my friends, I got a lot to say. Let's start with the look of Alan Wake 2. In my personal opinion, I think Alan Wake 2 is one of the best looking games we have gotten in a long time. And not on the technical side, I mean purely on the art direction level. Alan Wake 2 shines. The two small yet very dense worlds you explore include the town of Bright Falls and Watery for Saga, and the Dark Places version of New York City for Alan Wake. Bright Falls and the nature surrounding it feels very dense yet organic, again thanks to the painstaking detail and gorgeous lighting. Anytime you see the sunset's orange illumination on the streets, the water, the puddles, or just bouncing off of the trees, it felt as if I was looking upon a beautiful painting. But while Bright Falls was beautiful, if a little threatening, New York City is a complete 180 difference. Instead of beautiful, it's dirty and grimy with papers and trash littering the streets, which adds this level of abandonment that's almost suffocating. Both of these settings in Alan Wake 2 pay homage to classic film and TV, but at the end of the day, both settings use their gorgeous and detailed worlds to truly transport and engross you. And honestly, it's one of the reasons why this story is just so hard to pull away from. I've got to talk about the story of Alan Wake 2. Simply put, the story of Alan Wake 2 is satisfying, fulfilling, and engaging from the very start all the way to the end of my 29-hour playthrough. The cast of Alan Wake 2 helps to bring everything alive. Talking about Saga Anderson and Alan Wake, who both give fantastic performances 85% of the time. Like I said, there are a few lines that sound a little weird, but most of the time, they do an excellent job. But it's not just them. All of the supporting cast are just as entertaining and memorable as our main characters. One big advantage Alan Wake 2 has over its predecessor is the pacing. Now, the first Alan Wake had serious pacing issues, and especially the levels would just drag on and go on for too goddamn long. Alan Wake 2 defies this entire issue. Now, once you get in a point in Alan Wake 2, you'll be able to freely switch between Saga and Alan, and both stories at your disposal are equally as great as the other. Both provide different styles of stories that are equally incredible and engaging, that by the end had both intertwined with each other in super shocking ways. My engagement in the story is not just because of the wonderful mystery and the incredible writing, it is also because of the production. Alan Wake 2 manages to glue my eyes to the screen unlike any game I have played in recent memory. Thanks to Alan Wake 2's seamless yet somewhat unsettling mix of rendered cutscenes, gameplay, and even live action moments that always manage to make any scene where I spot them a mixture of mesmerizing yet unsettling at the same time. Oh, and I can't really find a better place in my script to say this, so I'll just say it now. Easily one of, if not the best soundtrack of 2023. The music in Alan Wake 2 is immaculate. Of not only setting the scene, not only being fantastic to listen to outside of the game, but also do an excellent job of connecting the music with the story. Jesus. I could honestly spend such a long time talking about the freaking story of Alan Wake 2, but that's not the only thing that Alan Wake 2 offers. The actual gameplay is probably the thing in Alan Wake that's the least unique. Just don't expect too many changes when it comes to the over-the-shoulder combat in this game. But I mean, why would you want to try and do something super unique when it comes to your combat? It's survival horror, so the formula works great. Limited resources, tough as nails enemies, and the feeling of unsafety throughout the entire game always made combat tense. Well, actually, wait, that's actually if you have combat to begin with. Alan Wake 2 is surprisingly very methodical. So there's actually significantly less combat and enemy encounters in Alan Wake 2 when compared to the original, which I think works for two reasons. One, I wasn't joking about what I said a little while ago about the enemies. The enemies in Alan Wake 2 are tough. You can pump almost half of your ammo away just dealing with a couple of them. So though combat is always an option, it's not always the best option. You can actually end up running away from a lot of enemies in Alan Wake 2, and I think that's a big plus. And the second reason why combat works so well is that no matter how many shotgun shells that you have, or no matter how much you upgrade your inventory or your weapons or your health, you never once felt safe. Now that is really great, adding an extra level of urgency and fear for every encounter. You always feel like every encounter you're scraping by the skin of your teeth. But after these encounters, should you succeed, you feel a burst of confidence and relief, but until you have to do it all over again. But it's that constant high and low that keeps the game a constant thrill. So yeah, combat in Alan Wake 2 is great. But I really found most of my joy with just exploring the world and solving the puzzles. So for Saga, you'll be finding clues and solving the mystery, which is done in her mind place. Sort of Saga's safe spot that allows her to work through problems. The mind place is where you're gonna be actually doing your mystery solving. Finding pieces of the mystery in the real world by talking to other characters or exploring locations, and then piecing together the mystery in the mind place is way more engaging than you might think. I mean, it never did because it's scripted, but it felt like and gave all these investigations stakes, which is great. So Saga's mind place was great. It is really Alan's puzzles and exploration in this game that really show just how well designed, clever, and impressive Alan Wake 2 is on a visual and technical level. See, Alan Wake possesses sort of a light carrying tool that allows you to change the level right then and there with a switch of the light. And every time that it happened, the switch was instantaneous and striking. But even better than this is the plot board. So similar to Saga's mind place, Alan Wake has a mind place as well with a plot board inside. Now this plot board, it's essentially a puzzle tool that opens new paths the more you discover and move through the story. And anytime you have to switch the level to find a clue or reach a goal was always striking. No load screens, just type and boom, brand new level. And I swear, this mechanic never got old. Guys, I really gotta say, everything I've been saying so far is just reminiscent of why Alan Wake 2 is so freaking special. Alan Wake 2 is a game that is a survival horror and wears it on its shoulders. It is scary, it is intense, it is very unsettling and disturbing, but Alan Wake 2 also just shows a level of care and passion and creativity that I don't think any studio from this year has shown as much as Remedy Entertainment does. I have never seen a game tell its story by fucking using a live action silhouette narrate to the player. I've never played a game where it's fundamentally a survival horror but will just as easily break out into massive musical numbers with a fucking goated rock band called Old Gods of Asgard. I have never seen a video game that left a 20-minute long short film in a level that is live acted by Sam Lake and an entirely different cast. It is actually an engaging short film that is dark and disturbing, and the fact that something with that much love can just be easily skipped over is just a testament to how much care is in Alan Wake 2.
Look in the mirror, the cobweb of my soul, on my face forever, seeking to be whole.
It's like I said, guys, Alan Wake 2 is, in lack of a better word, a true, honest-to-God masterpiece that adds a level of inventiveness and originality in just about every aspect that it does. In its super dark and engaging story, in its super likable characters, in its incredibly detailed and gorgeous world. The last thing I've got to say is Alan Wake 2 is truly unlike anything I have ever played. And you know what? It is absolutely incredible for it. Jesus Christ, guys, and that was my review on Alan Wake 2. What a fucking game. 2023 is going down in the goddamn books. This was a fucking year to be remembered. Thank you I'm on Instagram, as you hear me talking about, so be sure to follow me. That's at The Gamer Critic. You know, that's where I post all my reviews. I'll keep it a buck with you guys. I'm really not entirely sure what's coming next. I plan on making a voting video for the Game Awards. If I don't do that, I think I'm ready to start working on my top 10. I'll keep you guys posted. Play Alan Wake 2. Be good people. I will talk to you guys soon. Peace.